Okay, we should be live. I went a couple minutes early just to see that video and audio are working. If you cannot hear me or if you cannot see the screen, please comment in the live chat on YouTube. Okay, we should be live. I went a couple minutes early just to see that video and audio are working. If you cannot hear me or if you cannot see the screen, please comment. Okay, I'm going to black the screen out for just 1 second here. All right. All right, re-enabling video right now. I think there's a latency of about 4 or 5 seconds, so you should see it any moment now. Okay, I'm seeing the video is showing on YouTube. If you don't see the video or if you don't hear me, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to put a comment. Just if you can't hear me, obviously you're not going to be able to say that. So all right. Just generally, bear with me. I tested this, but this is a totally new setup with screencasting and audio and streaming that I'm trying out for the first time now. We even have a fancy little overlay for the current topic going across the top of the screen, so there's a lot going on. Hopefully it all goes smoothly. Okay, cool. So we got Jared saying that video and audio are good. Thank you, Jared. And it's 12:01 where I am, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. Looks like we have about 14 people on the stream right now. Thank you guys for joining. This is the first of what I'm calling Bisq demo session. We haven't done a live event in a while, but it really didn't seem like the previous ones were accomplishing a whole lot. We typically held calls every week or every other week going over milestones and news in having to do with the Bisq project. But there were reports from certain people that they were rather boring, a little monotonous. They were definitely very one-sided. They weren't very practical, so people trying to use Bisq for the first time or get more comfortable with it weren't very helpful for them. So the goal with these calls is to be more practical, show you actual things you can do to use Bisq, use it more effectively. And yeah, and they're going to be, of course, more interactive. So as this call progresses, if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the live chat and I'll try to get to them. And they'll also probably be shorter. I don't see this call being more than, like I was posted on Twitter, probably no more than 10 or 15 minutes. I have a couple of, 2-3 topics that I want to cover, and after that, take any questions. But I don't want this to drone on. There are no slides. There's no slide deck that we're going to go over. Just practical tips and practical tips broken down into hopefully a format that you can better digest. So I talked about, I think that's all I have in the way of an intro, so I guess we can just go ahead and get started. With the first item, as you can see on the top of the screen, trading cost effectively on Bisq. So as you guys have all probably seen, the mempool is getting rather congested more often, and mining fees are more of a consideration now than they've ever been in the past. So trading cost effectively on Bisq is something that you want to think about more. It's not as you need each Bisq trade involves a number of transactions, so on-chain Bitcoin transactions, and so in order to trade cost effectively on Bisq now in a high fee environment, you want to take that into account, and at the very least monitor the fee rate. So at least be aware of what the fee rate is that Bisq is using at the moment. So this is currently, you can see it on I'm going to try to show this on my screen. On the bottom left, if you can see my cursor, the fee rate that Bisq uses for trade transactions is now always visible there. This also happens to be the medium priority fee rate listed on mempool.space, for those of you who are curious where that comes from. And the reason I mention this is probably basic for most of you guys watching, but the reason I mention this is that each Bisq trade involves 4 on-chain Bitcoin transactions. Okay, so if when an offer maker makes a transaction, or makes an offer rather, they're paying a maker fee transaction, and then when an offer taker comes along and takes that offer, they are paying for 3 on-chain Bitcoin transactions. They're paying for their maker fee transaction, they're paying for the deposit transaction of both the maker and the taker, and they're paying for the payout transaction. So the first, I guess, lesson here is that if you want to trade cost effectively on Bisq, you want to, of course, trade at times when the mining fees are lower, and you want to minimize the number of transactions you do in the first place. So ideally, that means that you make offers instead of take offers, because that way you'll be paying for only 1 transaction instead of 3. And of course, another advantage that we'll go into in a couple of minutes is that you won't have to wait and take whatever is on the market or showing on Bisq at the moment. You can choose to make your own offers, attractive offers that are exactly the way you want them to be. So we'll go into that more in a bit, but I want to also mention, okay, someone is saying make the screen content bigger. Unfortunately, Bisq does not scale. So I mean, I can make the window bigger, but the text size will be the same. I will keep that in mind for next time though, and make the zoom factor a little bit bigger so we can do that. Okay, so sorry about that, but I will fix that for next time. So we've gone over so fee rates, being a maker instead of a taker, which we'll talk about more in a second. And second to last item I want to cover is paying trade fees. This is something people often, or I guess I should say isn't talked about enough, I think. In addition to timing your trades well or better, you can also, when you take an offer or make an offer, you can choose to pay your trade fees in, give me a moment here, with Bsq instead of Bitcoin. This is just a random example. I happen to have a dummy Zelle account set up here, and I'm going to take an offer to sell Bitcoin. And if you notice here on the bottom, it says advanced options, and there's a trade fee currency option where you can choose to pay your trade fees with Bitcoin or Bsq, which is colored Bitcoin. I'm not going to go into what Bsq is, what the Bisq DAO is, or any of that. There's a lot of resources out there, and maybe we can cover that in a future call. But for now, just notice that if you pay with Bsq, you will be paying less. Essentially, you'll be saving Bitcoin on trade fees. So if you want to pay the absolute minimum for doing a trade on Bisq, you want to time it well, do it in a time when mining fees are lower. You want to make offers, and when you make those offers, you want to pay Bsq instead of Bitcoin, because you will be paying about half. Here you can see it's a little bit less than half, but usually the discount is about 50% of what they are with plain Bitcoin. So that's just another way of saving some Bitcoin, saving some sats. And the last tip here is, I guess, probably an intuitive one. I'm not sure. I guess for some people, maybe practical, some people maybe not, but just do bigger trades. If you do bigger trades, you'll be doing less. You'll be paying less trading fees because you'll be doing less on-chain transactions for Bisq trades, and so you'll just be saving fees kind of naturally. But I think it's worth mentioning. Also, with bigger trades, pricing tends to be better. There was a blog post that was posted last year on the Bisq blog, which I'll link to later after this call, but it goes through the average premiums that people pay on Bisq denominated by trade sizes, and at or below 0.01 Bitcoin, the premiums that you pay are typically way higher, and as you get past 0.01 Bitcoin, the premiums that you pay tend to go down a lot, and generally as you go higher, the premiums become lower. So that's a tip for you guys who can do bigger transactions at once. It definitely pays to do bigger trades to save there. So yeah, so to recap once again, keep track of the fee rate. Make sure that you're doing trades at a time when the fee rate is relatively favorable. Try to make offers instead of take offers, because you'll be paying for one on-chain transactions instead of 3. Try to use Bsq to pay your trading fees. You'll save a few sats that way. And generally try to do bigger trades whenever you can, because the premiums that you pay tend to be much lower than they are for smaller trades. All right, anybody have any questions so far? I'll wait a moment or so for any questions to come in. In the meantime, I'm going to fade the screen out and get ready for the next topic. Which will be related to what we just talked about. We're going to talk about how to make good offers and how to modify offers that you already have. There were some new features added to modifying offers and making offers. so I think it'll be good to go over that. Okay, so the screen should be back up now. Jamiu says that he or she has a question. Please go ahead and ask. Don't just say you have a question. Okay, so there's one question: how do I get Bsq? You can get Bsq right on Bisq. So Bisq, it's probably a bit more convoluted than it needs to be. It's treated as an altcoin, although it is basically just Bitcoin. You basically set up an altcoin account, go to account in Bisq, and then altcoin accounts, and you set up a Bisq account, a Bsq account, and you get the address that it'll ask you for an address, and you get that address from your DAO wallet. So if you go to I guess I can show you since I'm here. You go to DAO and Bsq wallet and receive, and this here you'll see a Bsq receive address. You'll take this address and set up your Bsq account. Okay, so you'll search for Bsq and paste that address in from the other screen, and then that's it, just save new account. So that's how you set up a Bsq payment account, and then you'll just, like with any other Bisq trade, go to sell BTC and take an offer for buying Bsq, and you'll end up with Bsq. That's in a nutshell how to do it, but we can do a video later on with more detail. Okay, looking at other questions. Can you help us figure out how to break even as a maker? What % should the maker change the price in order to break even? I think that depends a lot on let's see, yeah, I'm not sure there's a way I can explain how to break even as a maker. It's pretty much something that you got to do accounting for yourself. I'm not sure if that's a Bisq specific question, but if there's something I'm missing, please let me know. I think I don't have any data here. Can Bisq integrate the peer-to-peer prices on its network to make an aggregate price market of BTC? That's a very good question. I'm gonna pass on it now because it's not directly related to the topics we're covering here, but I will take note of it and get back to you, possibly on Twitter or elsewhere. Yeah, I see. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if Bisq is not volatile, but is liquid enough for that at the moment. So at the moment, Bisq uses an aggregate. I guess it collects prices from other exchanges to make its own kind of price index, and the reason that's done is that Bisq is not liquid enough to make its to kind of quote its own price. But yeah, I think once Bisq is more liquid and that price can be more reliable, then yeah, I guess such a thing could be possible. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next topic now. How to make good offers, or at least offers that have a good chance of getting you what you want. So there's some obvious things like setting a good premium, picking a good payment method, which I guess, well, hold on. Yeah, so the first thing is picking a good payment method. So there was one thing that was recently added to the market screen. There's a offers by payment method table. This didn't exist before. I think it was added in the past month or so, maybe 2 months, I don't know. But with this screen, you can see which payment methods are used most often. So if you're trying to pick a payment method to make an offer with that has the best odds of being taken, then this is a good resource to see, well, what does the market really want? So you can check this table. You can also, another thing you can do is you can filter the offer book by payment method. So if you wanted to see cash by mail offers in a particular market, you could do that. Or for some multi-market payment methods, like for example TransferWise, you can show all. Okay, so this didn't really work well because there are no TransferWise offers, I guess, on Bisq at all across markets. Let's see if there are any on the sell side. Okay, this didn't really help either. But the idea, what I'm trying to show you here is that TransferWise is a payment method you can use to pay across currencies, across, not just the euro. You can pay, I think, like the Romanian currency and Bulgaria, and there's a bunch of other currencies which you can kind of cross between. And so if you were just looking at a single currency market, you would not be able to see them. But if you show all and then filter by a payment method, then you can see across markets and potentially take offers that you can use to trade across markets. So yes, picking a good payment method is important, and you can find payment methods that you should use or that have a good chance of being attractive by looking at that markets table that I just showed you, and by just looking at the order book or the offer book yourself and filtering and slicing and dicing. So those are probably, for people who have used Bisq, somewhat self-explanatory. But what I want to draw attention to, though, beyond those items, is deposit. This is somewhat overlooked, but I think very important. Obviously, pricing is important. Obviously, payment method is important. Trade size is important. But another thing that could signal confidence to a potential offer taker is the deposit, because it signals how serious you are, how much skin in the game you're willing to put in to have the trade go successfully. So I think it was about 2 or 3 months ago that this column was added, deposit BTC, and it shows you both the raw amount of Bitcoin that the offer maker is willing, or has committed actually, to locking into the multi-sig deposit upon trade upon confirmation that the offer has been taken, and the percentage of the trade that signifies. So you can see in these cases, in some of these cases, the percentage is actually quite high. You have upwards of 50%, upwards of 60%. This guy's putting down 133%. Now, obviously, his trade size is small, so that doesn't really say a whole lot. I think the minimum right now is 0.006 Bitcoin. But for a bigger trade, let's see if we can find one here. So the minimum is 15% or 0.006 Bitcoin. So this guy put the minimum of 15% for his 0.1 Bitcoin. Trying to see if I can find another example here. Well, here's a good example. So this is a 0.02 Bitcoin offer, and this person decided to put down half, so 0.01 Bitcoin. He could have decided to put only 15%, but he decided to put a full 50%. And so as a potential offer taker, this is a very good sign to me. It shows that the guy is willing to put up a lot of skin in the game on his side to make sure that everything goes well. And of course, they're also signed, which means that they have done at least one trade in the past successfully as a buyer, which we won't go, I guess, I don't know if we should go into that now, but check mark and high deposit percentage are both good signs. So as an offer maker, consider putting up more of a deposit and a good premium, or low premium if you can, good payment method, and get signed. That's a good sign for anybody, whether you're buying or selling. We can go more into signing and how that works in a future video, but for now I think that's good. I want to move on to, yes, setting a limit price. So that's another thing you can do. I guess this is more of a seller thing. So let me go ahead and create an offer to sell Bitcoin. Okay, so this is where you would set all the items that we just talked about. You would pick a payment method, you would pick the amount of Bitcoin you want to sell, the percentage, the premium, and the trader's security deposit, which you put down here. So this is another advantage of making your own offer. You can actually pick this. If you're taking an offer, you have to take whatever the offer maker decided to set this to. So it's symmetric. So if the other person decided to put 50% down, then you have to put 50% down. If they decided to only put 15% down, then you have to put 15% down. But if you're making the offer, then you can decide this number for yourself. And I mean, this should be intuitive, but if you decide to put a lot down, then your taker will also have to put a lot down. So it kind of requires the other person to also be just as confident and devoted, committed to having the trade go successfully as you are. The other option, or other thing I want to talk about here is the trigger price. This was just added in 1.55, I believe, and the reason that 1.56 hotfix had to be released, because there was a slight issue with the way this was implemented. But you can, as a seller, you can set a trigger price so that your offer is deactivated if the market price of Bitcoin goes below whatever you put here. So with the obviously volatile nature of Bitcoin, as a seller, you probably, you may not want your Bitcoin to be sold if if Bitcoin goes down by 10 grand or whatever overnight. So yeah, just thought it's important that folks know about that. We try to communicate stuff on Twitter and elsewhere, but I'm not sure how many people actually see mistweets or whatever. So just keep that in mind as a way for keeping your own offers attractive to you, I guess. And the last thing I want to mention is modifying existing offers. I don't have anything live on this instance of Bisq, so I don't know if I can do that very well. But basically, you would go here in your portfolio, go to My Open Offers, and your live offers would show here, and you'll be able to adjust the premium. So if you want to adjust the pricing of your offer, you can do that. If you want to deactivate your offer, you can do that. And recently what was added is the ability to change the payment method for these offers as well. So if you want to change from Zelle to TransferWise, for example, you can do that, or whatever, and not have to delete the offer, not have to make a new offer, and not have to pay the fees or lose the fees for doing that. So that's, I think, a nifty, useful feature that folks can use to keep their offers looking attractive and to increase the likelihood that they're taken. So that's what I have for making good offers. Any questions there? There's more aspects to this. I don't want to drone on for too long. It's already been longer than I thought it would take. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to post them. I'll take note of them and maybe integrate them into future calls. But is there a reason we can't change the amount of the offer when editing an offer? Yeah, so the reason there is, I think it has to do with the if it were allowed to change the amount of an offer, the size of an offer, then you would also have to change the amount of Bitcoin that's deposited potentially, or that goes into the multi-sig address, and that may have issues with the trade protocol. So I guess to be on the safe side, it's kind of fixed, because theoretically you can make an offer for buying 0.01 Bitcoin and only put down whatever 0.006 Bitcoin deposit, but then you could increase that to 0.1 Bitcoin, and then how would you adjust the deposit amount? Maybe there's a way to do that, I don't know, but I'm assuming that's the practical reason that trade size cannot be adjusted. All right, so that's what I have for now. I might have mentioned at the beginning, just as there's more people on the call now, so I'm going to just reiterate that this format is new. Let me know what you thought about it. It's very possible, I guess there was a bit of interaction here. I was thinking beforehand that it might be better to just record these beforehand and put them out as opposed to doing live events. But if you guys like the live format, let me know, just so I know whether or not it was worth doing. Last thing I want to go over, you guys may or may not find helpful, is numbers. I have a text thing for that. Let me see. Oops. 1 second. There we go. Bisq by the numbers. So I thought you guys might find this interesting, given that Bisq is approaching a big milestone soon. So this is a publicly available spreadsheet that you can, I can put the link to this, make it available after this call, but it basically summarizes Bisq trading volume and all kinds of statistics trading related ever since the beginning. So this goes all the way to April of 2016 when Bisq went live on mainnet. And you can see, started with just over 100 trades per month way back in 2016 and has gone up slowly but surely throughout time to a few hundred trades per month, 1,000, 2,000 trades per month throughout 2019 and 2020. And now last month, January 2021, we saw almost 5,000 trades in a single month, which is frankly, I mean, considering where it came from, is really crazy. 159 trades per day on average in January. This is what the network was doing on a monthly basis, 3-4 years ago. So it's pretty crazy to see. And if you add all these numbers up, you get to about 93,000 trades all time. And if the network sticks to doing 3 to 4, 5,000 trades per month, we should see that 100,000 number reached in probably 2 months. So just exciting to see. Wanted to let you guys know where Bisq was as a network in terms of numbers and trades being done on a regular basis. I know liquidity could be better, but as these numbers show, liquidity is better than it's ever been. And by making good offers, you can help increase the liquidity even more while getting good deals on buying and selling Bitcoin yourself. So highly encourage you guys to do that. Any other questions? That's all I have planned for this call. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have. We will try to slice these videos up into smaller parts to spread on Twitter and Telegram and wherever else for folks who were not able to join. But this live cast, as you're seeing it now, the big kind of how long, so this 30-minute session should be available on YouTube immediately. Okay, one more. Go ahead, sir. I'm just waiting on, you got to let me know how to pronounce your name, but Jemiu to, it seems like he's typing up a question. If I change the bank account in an offer I've made, will my offer lose the verified status? No, that's a very good question. So no, it won't. Verified status, or signed status as we call it, is tied to payment account. So no, you can change the payment account that you use for your offer, but by doing that, your offer will take on the verified status of your payment account. So if the offer you switch to is also, or sorry, if the payment account that you switch to is also signed, then the offer will also show as signed in the offer book. So the question that Jamu has is, have you and the Bisq Network team thought of other means to secure funds of trading parties without deposits? That's also a very good question. Yeah, there's lots of thought about it. Obviously, as someone else had mentioned before, this is not a very sustainable trading protocol, as fees get higher and higher and it becomes less practical to do on-chain transactions. So there are several approaches. There's some proposals to integrate a different base currency, like Liquid, for example, so that you don't have to deal with Bitcoin itself. There's other proposals to use bonding instead of security deposits for each trade. Just have like long-term bonds that people can use as a means of trust. And I think there might be one or two other big ideas that I'm forgetting at the moment. But yeah, there are ideas. The problem is that none of them have been hardened enough or fleshed out enough to actually implement. And so yeah, we need those to happen. We need more ideas. We need people to help with that so that we can get started on implementing a more kind of next-gen Bisq version 2 that's a little bit more practical for a high fee environment. Oh, the other idea is combining the 4 transactions that happen right now into a single transaction, which I guess is more of a midterm kind of solution, but it is also something that was talked about. Okay, yeah, if you have ideas, go ahead and there's no email that you can really reach out to. The best thing to do is to either reach out on Keybase or on the forum, bisq.community, or the Telegram or wherever, and we'll get you in touch with the right people. Okay, question about the API. API is going great, I think. The first version of it should be out. Well, the first version of it will actually already be in 1.5.7, which will be coming out, I believe, on Monday. At that point, there will be a broader initiative to test, like really wring out the API code, really test it, both by Bisq developers and other people who who really want to see the API, who have use cases for it. And then once testing has gone successfully, it will be released. The public release for the API will be in the next release. So we're looking at probably about a month away for a full-on public release of version 1 of the API. So it's very close. I know a lot of people are looking forward to it. It's hopefully very soon. Could you explain how Sapa instant payments work when using accounts? Okay. I'm not personally very familiar with Sapa. I can say that they, at a high level, should work like any other payment. So you would just put your Sapa instant payment details in the Bisq payment account for Sapa instant, and you would make or take an offer, and then use Sapa instant to make your payment when the deposit transaction confirms. So, sorry, I'm not sure if that was much of a help, but it shouldn't be any. The point I'm trying to make is that it should not be that much different from other payment methods. I think that the payment, the trade duration is a day, so you have less time to complete the trade. But that's, I guess, the point of an instant payment. Telegram link, I believe, is Bisq _P2P. I can put that in the. This is the handle, the Telegram handle for the Bisq group on Telegram. Okay. Okay. Other question. I need to stay online until my offer is taken, or is it auto? Yeah. So you have to. Bisq is peer-to-peer, truly peer-to-peer. So there is no server that will keep your offers online when you're not online. So yeah, you'll need to stay online until your offer is taken. You can go offline, so you can put your computer to standby. You can shut down Bisq. You don't have to be online continuously, but your offer will not be online when you're not online. And I guess that's worth mentioning. It's a good way of I guess understanding why offers on Bisq tend to be a little bit more expensive. I mean, there is the what some people call the subsidization of, or the subsidy for not having to give your data to a honeypot like you would on a major central exchange. But there's also actual work involved in keeping an offer online, and so it could be part of the reason why people charge a little bit more for offers on Bisq. Okay, any other questions? All right, well, I'm gonna call this a wrap. If you guys have any questions, any feedback on this format, or topics that you'd like to see covered later on, tweet them, put them on Keybase or Telegram or any of the other channels, Reddit. There's Bisq all over the place, and we'll try to make the next ones better and more helpful for you, hopefully. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. Okay, one last question. When doing a Sapa instant, do I need to select any special setting when doing the transfer? I'm not the right person to ask about that, but I can find out, and we can put that information on the wiki. I think there might be a Sapa instant page already. I'm not sure. If you want, you can check bisq.wiki and search for Sapa instant and see if there's any information there already. If not, we'll try to add it there shortly. But yeah, I'll call it a wrap here. Thank you guys for joining. Hope it was helpful. Please send feedback on how to make these more helpful and better in the future, and we will try to do so. Thank you.